go live. And record to cloud. Awesome. Can anyone hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
Oh, cool. Okay, we're good. You guys can start. Thank you everyone for being here. We have great presenters today, and I'll just let them take it away. So thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Amy Heimel. I am a staff attorney with Legal Aid of North Carolina, and I'm also one of 8 attorneys on the Medicaid Appeals technical team, and I'm going to be doing this presentation on Medicaid direct and managed care, the transformation, as well as personal care services. And then when I'm finished with the English presentation, Maggie, do you want to introduce yourself? She'll be doing the Spanish.
Yes, good afternoon all. My name is Maggie Jusino. I'll be doing the presentation in Spanish. I have been with Legal Aid since December of 2015. I am a paralegal working in the Medicaid Appeals Technical Team Program. Buenas tardes, me llamo Magdalena Jusino. He estado con Legal Aid of North Carolina desde diciembre del 2015. Soy un paralegal en el programa de equipo técnicos de Medicaid y estaré haciendo la presentación en español después de Amy. Gracias.
Thank you, Maggie, so much. Okay, so let's first start with Medicaid transformation to managed care. Let me go down here. Oops, I'm gonna have to do a little differently because of my screen. Sorry, we're having some technical difficulty. Here we go. Okay, so what is Medicaid transformation? Medicaid transformation is a change in how your Medicaid services are being delivered. Medicaid has been split into 2 types of delivery systems. So under traditional Medicaid, which is now called Medicaid Direct, you would go to your Medicaid medical provider, and Medicaid would pay that provider each time you have a visit or a test or a procedure. That type of Medicaid is also known as fee-for-service Medicaid. In other words, Medicaid pays a fee for each service that you receive. But under the new system of Medicaid, known as Medicaid Managed Care, an insurance company manages your health care. Under this new system of Medicaid, instead of Medicaid paying the providers for each service, Medicaid pays the insurance company to take care of each person who is in their plan, regardless of the number or the type of services that they receive. Last summer, in July of 2021, North Carolina Medicaid went through this change on how the Medicaid services are provided. Prior to July 1st, 2021, everyone received what's now called Medicaid Direct. Again, Medicaid Direct pays your provider directly. So they pay the doctors, the hospitals, the labs, and the pharmacies. North Carolina decided to move certain groups of people to Medicaid Managed Care in order to save costs and to coordinate their health care. Under Medicaid Managed Care, instead of Medicaid paying your provider directly, it instead, as I mentioned in the last slide, pays the insurance companies. The insurance companies then pay the providers. So here are the groups that were moved last summer: the aged, the blind, and the disabled, persons that have family and children Medicaid, North Carolina Health Choice, and pregnant women. If you are in one of those Medicaid groups that were moved, then you should be working with one of the managed care insurance companies. You have what is called a prepaid health plan, or a PHP, that you either chose or it was chosen for you. Your prepaid health plan is with one of the following companies listed on this slide: AmeriHealth Caritas, or maybe Caritas. Maggie, you have to help me with that, I'm sorry. Healthy Blue, United Healthcare Community Plan, WellCare, Carolina Complete Health, or the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians Tribal Option. If you are not working with one of these prepaid health plans, then you are still in Medicaid Direct, and how you receive your services has not changed. For some groups of people, there will be no changes at this time as to how their Medicaid is delivered. But for persons who have significant behavioral health needs or intellectual or developmental disabilities, they can choose to move to managed care, but then they may end up losing some of their enhanced services that they've been receiving. In order to avoid losing these behavioral services, we recommend that they wait for specialized plans that are scheduled to begin this December 2022. These future plans are called tailored plans. The tailored plans will be designed to meet the needs of the individuals. In other words, they're tailored to what the individual needs. For persons who are receiving waiver services, such as the Community Alternative Programs for Children or Disabled Adults, also known as CAP-C or CAP-DA, these persons have to stay in Medicaid Direct until the tailored plans begin. The same is true for anyone who receives an innovations waiver or a traumatic brain injury waiver. If you are in one of these groups and you have received a Medicaid card with a prepaid health plan listed on it, then you should call the North Carolina Ombudsman, and I'll give you that number in another slide, because you may need to disenroll from managed care. If you are now in managed care and you have chosen your prepaid health plan, you should know that the PHP only works with certain medical providers. Each PHP has created a local group or a network of preferred providers. In order for your prepaid health plan to pay for your care, your provider must be in the network. You can no longer just go to anyone who accepts Medicaid if you are part of Medicaid managed care. If you're part of Medicaid managed care, then you need to choose the doctors, the clinics, the pharmacies, and the hospitals that are in network. Now, in a few instances, there are some exceptions to this rule. If you have a true emergency, then you can go to any hospital, regardless of the network. And if your doctor wants to send you to a specialist, and either there's no specialist for you in your network, or if you cannot see the network specialist promptly, then you may get an authorization to see a specialist out of the network. So what is not changing about this? What is not changing is how you apply for Medicaid and the eligibility rules. I'm going to get a drink of water in just a second. Eligibility rules to qualify for Medicaid. When you're applying for Medicaid, you're still going to contact your local Department of Social Services to submit an application. Excuse me, I'm going to get a little water so I can speak clearly. Okay, what else is not changing? The services that you've been receiving under Medicaid Direct are still the same. The covered services, whether you're in Medicaid Direct or Medicaid Managed Care, are identical, and they're found in what is called the clinical coverage policies. Both systems of Medicaid, Medicaid Direct and Medicaid Managed Care, must follow the same rules. However, the prepaid health plans may offer additional services that are not offered under Medicaid Direct. Examples are programs to help you quit smoking, or a voucher for school supplies, or even a voucher to take a GED exam. Which additional services are available is going to depend upon which prepaid health plan you choose. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at your rights under Medicaid Managed Care. You have the right to get free advice over the phone from the enrollment broker about whether you are required to sign up for a plan, have the option to sign up for a plan, or if you're in one of the groups that's on hold until the tailored plans begin in December. The enrollment broker will also help you to decide which prepaid health plan is the best choice for you. Maximus is the company that is the enrollment broker, and you can contact them at this number, 833-870-5500. You also have the right to switch your plan to another plan if you do it within 90 days of your first day of coverage when you first sign up. Now, you can also switch plans after that 90 days, but only if you have good cause. An example of good cause could be that you've moved away and that you no longer have the same primary care provider. Let's say you've moved from the eastern part of the state to the western part of the state. In that case, you need to switch your plan so that you can choose a provider that's in network. Another example of good cause could be if your primary care provider or your primary care provider or the practice is no longer in business, or your provider has moved away. That would be another situation where you potentially would have good cause and could choose another plan. And then the third time that you can switch plans is at your Medicaid recertification date. So some people may need to disenroll from Medicaid managed care itself. You have the right to request to disenroll from managed care and return to Medicaid Direct if you are in certain groups, such as the individuals with behavioral health issues that we discussed, or if you're a member of the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians. You may also disenroll if you can show that you are not getting the services that you are receiving under Medicaid Direct, or if you have a new diagnosis and you can only get the services for that diagnosis from Medicaid Direct. If you ask to disenroll and it's denied, you have the right to appeal that decision. You also have the right to get out-of-network care if it's medically necessary and those services are not available promptly in the plan's network, such as the specialists that I just mentioned earlier. Another right that you have is the right to have your medical care continue without being interrupted when you are changing plans or when you are moving either into managed care or out of managed care. And finally, if your health plan denies, reduces, or stops your coverage for needed health care, you have the right to appeal. So now we're going to talk about these rights in more detail. When your health plan denies, reduces, or stops covering your care, the plan must send you a written denial letter by mail. This letter is called an adverse benefit determination. If you receive an adverse benefit determination, you can appeal that decision. The letter that you receive must explain the decision, why it was made, and how you can file an appeal. Your health plan must send you a denial notice in the following situations. If you were denied your request to disenroll or change your plan, if you were denied an authorization for requested services, there are quite a few services where they need to be pre-authorized before the doctor can provide those services. If you are denied, you can appeal that. If you have been, if your services have been reduced or terminated and they were authorized and you've been receiving them, you can appeal that reduction or termination. And if you were denied your request for out-of-network services when care was not available in your health plan's network, you can appeal. And then lastly, if you were denied your request for non-emergency medical transportation. Here are some appeal examples. When you need medical treatment, such as prescription medication, a wheelchair or medical equipment, a specialist visit or some tests such as an MRI or a CAT scan, or any other plan services, and the insurance plan won't approve it or will only pay for some of it, or wants to stop services that you've already been receiving, then those are examples of what you can appeal. If you are, let's talk about the appeal pathways. So if you are still in Medicaid Direct, you can appeal an adverse benefit determination notice directly to the Office of Administrative Hearings, otherwise known as OAH. So when you file your appeal, the instructions will be in your adverse benefit determination, and you follow those instructions and your appeal goes to OAH. However, managed care is a little bit different. With managed care, you first have to appeal your denial to the plan itself. What happens is the prepaid health plan takes another look at your case and they reconsider their decision. That's why it's called a reconsideration review. If after the reconsideration, the PHP does not change its original decision, then you can at that point file an appeal with the Office of Administrative Hearings, OAH. So please note then, in the last column, there's a different and separate appeal process for situations that have to do with Medicaid eligibility and not services. These appeals for eligibility are decided by the state hearing officers from the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. So the appeals at OAH, they are done actually over the phone. They're not in person. And prior to the hearing, you will also have the option to try to come to an agreement with either the prepaid health plan, if you're in Medicaid managed care, or the state agency, if you're in Medicaid Direct, to resolve the dispute or the denial through what's called a mediation. A mediation is an informal meeting, and it is optional, although we recommend that you take advantage of it and you definitely meet with them, because sometimes you can come to an agreement. And if you're able to come to an agreement, then everything falls into place and you don't need to go to OAH. But if you have the mediation and you're not able to come to an agreement about your situation, then at that point, your case moves on to OAH so that you can have a full hearing. Also, you may ask to expedite or rush an appeal in certain circumstances. However, it does require proof in your medical records that the matter is urgent. The hearing is held before an ALJ, which is an administrative law judge. Because the ALJ is not required to follow any prior decisions, including the decision by the prepaid health plan, then the judge can consider new evidence in the case, even if it hasn't already been reviewed by the state agency or by the prepaid health plan. You also, as I mentioned, have a right to a full hearing, and at that hearing, you can question witnesses. Okay, so those are the basics regarding Medicaid transformation. Now we're going to change subjects and discuss personal care services, also known as PCS, and I'm going to get a little bit of water so I can do the second half. So just one moment, please. Okay, here we go. And incidentally, you will have an opportunity to ask questions about any of these slides or any of this information when I finish this part of the presentation. So personal care services, what are personal care services? Personal care services are in-home care or aid services. These are services that are provided by someone who comes to your home a few days each week to help you with some tasks that you may be having trouble with, such as bathing, dressing, and fixing meals. The assistance that you need must be due to your disability and not due to convenience. In other words, you must need it because you're not able to, on your own, without assistance, shower or use the toilet or get out of the bed and move to a chair, instead of, you know, convenience of, I'd really like to have somebody come in and make meals for me. If it's related to your disability, then you may qualify. So personal care services provides hands-on assistance to persons with certain activities of daily living. Those are also called ADLs. There are 5 categories of these activities of daily living: bathing, dressing, mobility, toileting, and eating. If you qualify for help with these ADLs, then an aide may also assist with certain helping tasks, such as light housekeeping, transportation, shopping, and cooking. So as I just mentioned in the last slide, it's not really about convenience, it's more about needing assistance, but you have to first qualify for these 5, well, some of the 5 ADLs in order to get the additional help of the cooking, the shopping, the transportation, and the housekeeping. Okay, so these tasks that I just mentioned, the housekeeping, transportation, shopping, and cooking, are known as IADLs, and that stands for instrumental activities of daily living. So again, you have to first qualify for the ADLs, and then you may qualify for the IADLs. Okay, so how do you get personal care services? Well, first, as I mentioned, you must have a medical condition, disability, or mental impairment. Next, your doctor submits a form. It's called a DMA 3051, an attestation of medical need. Your doctor fills it out, and the form is a statement that you have a medical need for personal care services. The form is then sent to Liberty Healthcare. Liberty Healthcare is a company that performs an assessment of your needs, and the company works for Medicaid. There is no cost to you for this assessment. After Liberty Healthcare evaluates your abilities during the assessment, it sends the results to Medicaid. And if you are approved, Medicaid will contact you so that you can then choose your PCS provider for your services. So let's talk about the assessment. The assessment will be conducted by a nurse who works for Liberty Healthcare. The nurse will come to your home and ask you questions about what kind of help you need. They will ask you to demonstrate how you do things around the house so that they can see how much help you need with the ADLs. Again, the ADLs are bathing, dressing, mobility, toileting, and eating. An example of mobility is not only how well you walk from place to place, but also how well you transfer from your bed to a chair and from a chair to the bed. The number of PCS hours that are approved depends upon how many of the ADLs you need help with and the level of help that you need with each one of the ADLs. So we'll talk more about the different levels of help in just a minute. I want to still talk about the assessment. So during COVID-19, the assessments were only conducted over the telephone. And that made it very difficult for the assessor to truly determine what a person's abilities were in each of those areas for ADLs. But I'm pleased to report that the assessments are now happening in person. We have found that assessments are more accurate if the nurse can actually see you demonstrating your abilities and your limitations instead of you trying to describe how you're doing over the phone. And so for that reason, it's really great that Liberty Healthcare nurses are back to doing assessments in person. And you have the right during your assessment to have other people in the room with you. These people can be friends or relatives. It could be a caregiver, or it could even be a current PCS aide. Basically, anyone who knows and can explain your needs and your limitations may participate. And it is best when it is someone who sees you often and in different situations. Now, you shouldn't plan on having a crowd come in, but if you have one or two friends, probably one, but if you have two friends or relatives that know you well and see you often, that would be the best choice during your assessment. Now, when you're speaking with the nurse, you should be clear and honest about your needs and about your limitations. What we recommend is that in order for that to be easier for you, before the nurse arrives, you should make a list of your needs before the visit. That way, you can remember to tell the nurse what you cannot do. And then even if they don't ask, you should still be sure to tell them because you've written it on your list. And also, we recommend that you do not hold back information because you might be feeling embarrassed. If you need help, this is your opportunity to ask for it. For example, if you need help keeping yourself clean, that's okay to talk about it. Or if you have trouble getting off and on the toilet, or if you have trouble pulling up your pants, it's okay to share that information with the assessor. In fact, you should tell that nurse anything that you're having trouble with, because that's why they're there. Okay, so this is the assessment scale. This is what I was mentioning about how much assistance or help you need. The nurse assessor will rate each one of the ADLs according to how much hands-on assistance you need. These are the different levels. So totally able means that you can do the activity without anyone supervising or helping. If you need cueing or supervision, that means you can do the activity without hands-on assistance, but you do need someone to monitor you or assist with setting up. An example would be brushing your teeth. Maybe you can brush your teeth by yourself, but you really need help opening up the toothpaste and getting the toothpaste on the brush. Limited hands-on assistance means you can do about half the activity by yourself, but you do need help with the other half. And extensive hands-on assistance means that you can only do less than half of the activity, and that you need someone to help you with more than half of the activity. And then totally dependent means you're unable to perform any of the activity, and you need someone to help you do it all. So how do you qualify for personal care services? Well, there are a couple different ways. You need to either have 3 out of 5 ADLs, so a minimum of 3, and that they all require limited hands-on assistance. Let's go back and look at that. So we are right here. So you need 3, all of which require limited hands-on assistance, or if you only have 2, at least one of them requires extensive hands-on assistance, right here. Or if you only have 2, one of these requires totally dependent, which is down here. You may have more than 3, or you may have more than 2, but this is the bare requirement. Okay, so in addition to having to meet a certain level of assistance, here is a living arrangement requirement also for personal care services. You can only qualify for PCS if you are in a private living arrangement, such as a private residence, or in a licensed adult care home or combination home, or if you're in a group home. A group home is a licensed, supervised living facility of 2 or more adults who have a diagnosis of mental illness, a developmental disability, or a substance abuse dependency, and that facility is eligible to receive personal care services. So your home, or a licensed adult care home, or a group home. There's also a home and family requirement. First of all, the home must be safe for the PCS worker to visit. It must be free of health hazards. The Department of Health and Human Services, DHHS, will come and perform an inspection. Also, you cannot get PCS if you have a family member or a friend who is available, willing, and able to provide these services when they are needed. For example, if you have someone who lives with you and they are available, willing, and able to help with the ADLs, then Medicaid will expect them to provide that assistance that you need. However, if you need help during the day and that person works away from the home, outside of the home, and then they are no longer available to provide the services, and you may qualify. Again, the standard is available, willing, and able. Another example would be if you live with a very elderly parent. You may need PCS services for mobility and for bathing. Even though it is a family member, if your parent is not physically able to provide the services that you need, such as transferring you from the bed to a chair or helping you to bathe, then the parent is not able to provide hands-on assistance, even though he or she may be willing and available. Again, available, willing, and able. Elderly parent may not be able to provide PCS services. Also, I want to mention there is something to know about family members. Medicaid will not pay PCS services if they are provided by someone who lives with you or by a family member. A family member is a spouse, a child, a parent, a brother, a sister, a grandparent, a grandchild, or an in-law. So let's go back to the earlier example. If your family member works during the day outside the home and you need help during the day, you may receive PCS hours from an aide, from a nurse. But for the weekend, if the family member is available, willing, and able to provide services because they're not working outside the home, that family member is not going to get paid by Medicaid for providing these personal care services. Now let's talk about the medical requirements for PCS. Earlier in the presentation, I mentioned that PCS are services that are provided by an aide in your home for 1 or more days per week to help you with the basic needs due to your disability. Your disability must be a documented medical condition or a cognitive mental impairment. You must be under the care of a doctor for that condition that's creating the limitation, and you must not need some type of continuous care, monitoring, or supervision by a licensed nurse or healthcare professional. In other words, you need to not need a nursing, like a hospital type care, medical issue monitoring care. It needs to be just for these ADLs, not for treating a medical condition. And your doctor must submit a prior approval request and the medical records that support that request. If you are approved, then you will receive a set number of PC hours per month. The number of hours is based on the number of ADLs that you need help with, as well as the level of assistance, the limited hands-on, extensive hands-on, or totally dependent. The maximum number of hours per month is 80 hours for an adult and 60 hours for a child. However, there are certain diagnoses, such as Alzheimer's, which may qualify for additional hours. If you are approved, you will receive a letter in the mail, as I mentioned, and it will state the number of hours per month. You may choose the PCS agency that will be providing your services, and that agency will contact you to set up a care plan, including scheduling when the aid will come, the hours for when the aid will come, and the hours per day, the tasks, and making sure that your needs are met. I'm going to get some water. Thank you for being patient with me. Every year, Liberty Healthcare will come and assess you again to see if you still qualify. They will contact you at least 30 days before the end of your one-year approval period. If you no longer qualify, then your personal care services will end. Or if you cannot be reached, or you refuse the assessment, or you do not even attend the assessment, again, Medicaid will end your PCS. Now, if your services are terminated or your hours are reduced after your reassessment, you will receive a notice of termination or reduction of services. What can you do about a notice of termination or reduction? Well, if you believe the decision is wrong, you can file an appeal within 30 days of the date in the notice. Much like when you're terminated services, as we talked about in the last presentation, this is very similar in how the process works. A mediation will be scheduled. It's optional, but we recommend that you attend it. And that will allow you and either the Department of Health and Human Services, or that's for Medicaid Direct, or the prepaid health plan under Medicaid Managed Care to discuss your situation with you and possibly come to an agreement, which is also called a settlement. As I mentioned, if you cannot come to an agreement, then you may ask for a hearing to go before the administrative law judge. The process is the same as when you're denied any other Medicaid service or test. The process is notice, appeal, mediation, and hearing. And if you appeal within the 30 days, your PCS services will continue through your appeal until a final decision is made. Now, what do you do if you need help? Well, if at any point you need further help, you can call Legal Aid of North Carolina, or you can call the North Carolina Medicaid Ombudsman. You call the Ombudsman at 877-201-3750 when you have any general questions regarding Medicaid. If you have a legal issue, then you can call Legal Aid of North Carolina at 1-866-219-5262. And if you financially qualify for free legal assistance, you may receive legal advice or possibly representation, but that would depend on the facts of your case. If you don't know where to start, it's always best to start with the North Carolina Medicaid Ombudsman. And then if you do have a legal issue, they can refer you to a legal provider. So I know this has been a lot of information. So here's what I want you to take away from today's presentation. Personal care services are services provided to you in your home and not in a hospital setting. They are assistance with activities, ADLs, that you cannot do by yourself. The categories of the activities are bathing, dressing, mobility, toileting, and eating. To qualify, you need a certain number of ADLs and a certain level of assistance. You cannot be living with someone who is available, willing, and able to do these services for you when you need them. And Medicaid will not pay family members or roommates to provide PCS. You will have an assessment, and if you are denied, you can appeal it. And most importantly, what I want you to remember is please don't be embarrassed by the fact that you need any help in any of these areas. So this concludes our English presentation on Medicaid transformation as well as personal care services. We hope that you found it helpful. Our next two clinics are Monday, August 22nd and Monday, September 26th. We always have Medicaid clinics on the fourth Monday of the month at 2:30. I am happy to take any questions that you may have. And then after the question period, then we will present the Spanish version, well, Maggie will, of this exact same presentation. I welcome your questions. Do we have a moderator still? Okay, I am going to switch.
Okay.
I think I'm going to switch.
Thank you, Amy.
You're welcome. Let me get you set up, Maggie.
Yes.
Okay, I am ready when you're ready.
Okay. Can put on the first slide then.
Yes, can you see
Okay.
it?
I'm not seeing it.
Let me make sure you can see it. Let's see. I think maybe I need to reshare. That's the problem.
Okay.
Can you see it?
Perfect. Yes, thank you.
Welcome.
Buenas tardes, nuevamente soy Magdalena Jusino. Queremos darle las gracias por unirse a nosotros hoy. Vamos a hablar en general sobre la transformación de Medicaid a la atención administrada, así como un nuevo tema, servicios de cuidado personal. Next, please. ¿Qué es la transformación de Medicaid? La transformación de Medicaid es un cambio en la forma en que se brindan sus servicios de Medicaid. Medicaid se ha dividido en dos tipos de sistema de entrega. Bajo Medicaid tradicional, que ahora se llama Medicaid directo, usted iría a su proveedor médico y Medicaid le pagaría a ese proveedor cada vez que tuviera una visita, prueba o procedimiento. Este tipo de Medicaid también se conoce como Medicaid de pago por servicio, o sea, que Medicaid paga una tarifa por cada servicio que recibe. Bajo el nuevo sistema de Medicaid, conocido como Atención Administrada de Medicaid, una compañía de seguros administra su cuidado médico. Bajo este nuevo sistema de Medicaid, en vez de Medicaid pagar a los proveedores por cada servicio, Medicaid le paga a la compañía de seguros para que cuide a cada persona que está en su plan. Next, please. El verano pasado, en julio de 2021, Medicaid de Carolina del Norte pasó por un cambio en la forma en que se brindan los servicios de Medicaid. Antes de julio del 2021, todos recibían lo que ahora se llama Medicaid directo. Medicaid paga directamente a su proveedor, o sea, sus médicos, hospitales, laboratorios y farmacias. Carolina del Norte trasladó a ciertos grupos a atención administrada de Medicaid para ahorrar costos y coordinar su cuidado médico. Bajo atención administrada de Medicaid, en vez de Medicaid pagar a su proveedor directamente, Medicaid les paga a las compañías de seguro. Las compañías de seguro luego pagan a los proveedores. Los grupos que se trasladaron fueron personas mayores, ciegos y discapacitados, familia y niños, North Carolina Health Choice, en español, Elección de Salud de Carolina del Norte, y mujeres embarazadas. Next, please. Si usted está en uno de estos grupos de Medicaid que fueron trasladados, entonces usted está en una de las compañías de seguro de atención administrada. Usted tiene un plan de salud prepagado que usted eligió o fue elegido para usted. Su plan de salud prepagado está con una de las siguientes compañías: AmeriHealth Caritas, Healthy Blue, United Healthcare Community Plan, WellCare, Carolina Complete Health, EBCI Tribal Option, o sea, opción tribal de la banda oriental de indios Cherokee. Si usted no está en un plan de salud prepagado, entonces todavía está en Medicaid directo y la forma en que recibe sus servicios no ha cambiado. Next, please. Para algunos grupos de personas, no habrá cambios en este momento en cuanto a cómo se brinda su Medicaid. Para las personas que tienen necesidades significativas de salud de comportamiento, discapacidades intelectuales o del desarrollo, pueden elegir trasladarse a atención administrada de Medicaid, pero pueden perder algunos de los servicios mejorados que han estado recibiendo. Para evitar perder esos servicios de comportamiento, recomendamos que esperen a que comiencen los planes especializados en diciembre del 2022. Estos planes futuros se llaman planes personalizados, que se diseñarán para satisfacer las necesidades de estas personas. Para las personas que están recibiendo servicios de exención, como los programas alternativos comunitarios para niños o adultos discapacitados, también conocidos como CAP/C o CAP/DA, estas personas tienen que permanecer en Medicaid directo hasta que comiencen los planes personalizados. Lo mismo es cierto para las exenciones de innovaciones y las exenciones de TBI, o sea, lesión cerebral traumática. Si usted está en uno de estos grupos y ha recibido una tarjeta de Medicaid con un plan de salud prepagado que aparece en ella, entonces debe llamar al Ombudsman de Medicaid de Carolina del Norte. Es posible que deba darse de baja de atención administrada de Medicaid. Next, please. Si ahora está en atención administrada y ha elegido su plan, usted debe saber que cada plan de salud prepagado ha creado un grupo local o red de proveedores preferidos. Para que su plan de salud prepagado pague por su cuidado, usted debe elegir los médicos, clínicas, farmacias y hospitales que están dentro de la red. En algunos casos, hay algunas excepciones a esta regla. En una verdadera emergencia, puede ir a cualquier hospital independientemente de la red. Y si su médico quiere enviarlo a un especialista y no hay un especialista para usted dentro de la red, o si no puede ver al proveedor dentro de la red con prontitud, entonces puede obtener una autorización para salir de la red. Next, please. Entonces, ¿qué es lo que no está cambiando? Lo que no cambia es cómo solicita Medicaid y las reglas de elegibilidad para calificar para Medicaid. Al solicitar Medicaid, aún se comunica con su Departamento de Servicios Sociales local para presentar una solicitud. Además, los servicios que ha estado recibiendo bajo Medicaid directo siguen siendo los mismos. Los servicios cubiertos, ya sea que usted esté en Medicaid directo o atención administrada de Medicaid, son idénticos y se encuentran en lo que se llama pólizas de cobertura clínica. Ambos sistemas de Medicaid deben seguir las mismas reglas. Sin embargo, los planes de salud prepagados pueden ofrecer servicios adicionales que no se ofrecen bajo Medicaid directo. Algunos ejemplos son los programas para ayudarlo a dejar de fumar, un cupón para útiles escolares o un cupón para tomar el examen GED. Los servicios adicionales dependen del plan que usted elija. Next, please. Ahora vamos a echar un vistazo a sus derechos bajo atención administrada de Medicaid. Next, please. Usted tiene derecho a obtener asesoramiento gratuito por teléfono del intermediario de inscripción sobre si está obligado a inscribirse en un plan, tiene la opción de firmar un plan o está en espera hasta que comiencen los planes personalizados en diciembre de 2022. El intermediario de inscripción también lo ayudará a decidir qué plan es la mejor opción para usted. Y para comunicarse con el intermediario de inscripción, puede llamar a Maximus al 833-870-5500. Usted tiene el derecho a cambiar plan a otro si lo hace dentro de los 90 días de su primer día de cobertura. También puede cambiar de plan después de los 90 días si tiene good cause, o sea, una causa suficiente. Un ejemplo de causa suficiente sería que se ha mudado fuera del área de su plan. Next, please. Es posible que algunas personas deban darse de baja de atención administrada de Medicaid. Usted tiene el derecho de solicitar darse de baja si está en ciertos grupos, como individuos con problemas de salud de comportamiento o es miembro de la banda oriental de indios Cherokee. Usted también puede darse de baja si puede demostrar que no está recibiendo los servicios que recibía bajo Medicaid directo, o si tiene un nuevo diagnóstico y solo puede obtener los servicios que necesita bajo Medicaid directo. Si solicita darse de baja y se le niega, tiene derecho a apelar esa decisión. Usted también tiene derecho a recibir cuidado fuera de la red si es médicamente necesaria y los servicios que necesita no están disponibles de inmediato en la red del plan. Otro derecho que usted tiene es el que su cuidado médico continúe sin ser interrumpido cuando cambie de plan o cuando se mude dentro o fuera de atención administrada. Y finalmente, si su plan de salud niega, reduce o detiene su cobertura para el cuidado médico necesario, usted tiene derecho a apelar. Next, please. Cuando su plan de salud niega, reduce o deja de cubrir su cuidado médico, el plan debe enviarle una carta de negación por correo. Esta carta se denomina determinación adversa de beneficios. Si usted recibe una determinación adversa de beneficios, puede apelar la decisión. La carta debe explicar la decisión, por qué se tomó y cómo apelar. Su plan de salud debe enviarle un aviso de denegación en las siguientes situaciones. Si su solicitud ha sido denegado para darse de baja o cambiar su plan, denegado una autorización para servicios solicitados, servicios autorizados que ha estado recibiendo han sido reducidos o terminados, denegado su salud de servicios fuera de la red cuando el cuidado no está disponible dentro de la red del plan de salud, o denegado su solicitud de transporte médico que no es de emergencia. Next, please. Aquí hay algunos ejemplos de apelación. Por ejemplo, necesito una resonancia médica, pero el plan de salud prepagado no la aprobará. Next, please. Si todavía está en Medicaid directo, puede apelar un aviso de determinación adversa de beneficios directamente a la Oficina de Audiencias Administrativas, OAH por sus siglas en inglés. Si se inscribió en un plan de salud prepagado a través de atención administrada de Medicaid, primero debe apelar su denegación al plan de salud prepagado a través de un proceso llamado reconsideración. Si el plan de salud prepagado no cambia su decisión original de denegar su servicio, entonces puede presentar una audiencia a la Oficina de Audiencias Administrativas. Tenga en cuenta que hay un proceso de apelación separado para las decisiones de elegibilidad de Medicaid. Estas apelaciones son decididas por los oficiales de audiencias estatales del Departamento de Salud y Servicios Humanos de Carolina del Norte. Next, please. Las apelaciones en la Oficina de Audiencias Administrativas se llevan a cabo por teléfono. Antes de la audiencia, usted tiene la opción de tratar de llegar a un acuerdo con el plan de salud prepagado o la agencia estatal para resolver la disputa a través de una mediación. La audiencia se lleva a cabo ante un juez de derecho administrativo. Debido a que el juez de derecho administrativo no está obligado a seguir ninguna decisión previa, el juez puede considerar nuevas pruebas en el caso, incluso si esa evidencia no ha sido repasada por el plan de salud prepagado o la agencia estatal. Ahora, estos han sido los conceptos básicos con respecto a la transformación de Medicaid. Next, please. Ahora hablaremos de servicios de cuidado personal, también conocidos como PCS por sus siglas en inglés. Next, please. ¿Qué son los servicios de cuidado personal? Los servicios de cuidado personal son servicios de cuidado en el hogar o de un asistente. Estos son servicios que son proporcionados por alguien que viene a su hogar unos cuantos días a la semana para ayudarlo con algunas tareas con las que usted puede estar teniendo problemas, como bañarse, vestirse y preparar comidas. La asistencia que necesita debe basarse en su discapacidad y no por conveniencia. Next, please. Los servicios de cuidado personal brindan asistencia práctica a las personas para ciertas actividades de la vida diaria, conocidas como ADLs en inglés por sus siglas. Hay 5 categorías para las actividades de la vida diaria. Son bañarse, vestirse, movilidad, ir al baño y comer. Si usted califica para recibir ayuda con estas actividades de la vida diaria, entonces el asistente también puede ayudarlo con ciertas tareas de ayuda, como limpieza ligera, transporte, compras y cocinar. Estas tareas de ayuda se conocen como ayudas instrumentales de la vida diaria. Usted no puede recibir estos servicios de un asistente para las actividades instrumentales de la vida diaria a menos que primero califique para los servicios de cuidado personal para las actividades de la vida diaria. Next, please. ¿Cuál es el proceso para recibir servicios de cuidado personal? Primero, usted debe tener una condición médica, discapacidad o impedimento mental. A continuación, su médico envía un formulario llamado DMA-3051. Mediante este formulario, su médico declara que usted tiene una necesidad médica de servicios de cuidado personal. Luego, una compañía llamada Liberty Healthcare realiza una evaluación gratuita de sus necesidades. Esta compañía trabaja para Medicaid. Después de que Liberty Healthcare evalúa sus habilidades durante la evaluación gratuita, envía los resultados a Medicaid. Si usted es aprobado, Medicaid se comunicará con usted para que elija un proveedor de servicios de cuidado personal. Next, please. Hablemos de la evaluación. Next, please. La evaluación se realizará por una enfermera que trabaja para Liberty Healthcare. La enfermera vendrá a su hogar y le hará preguntas sobre qué tipo de ayuda necesita. Le pedirán que demuestre cómo hace las cosas en el hogar para que puedan ver cuánta ayuda necesita con las actividades de la vida diaria. Una vez más, las actividades de la vida diaria son bañarse, vestirse, movilidad, ir al baño y comer. Un ejemplo de movilidad no es solo lo bien que usted camina de un lugar a otro, sino también lo bien que se transfiere de su cama a una silla y de una silla a su cama. El número de horas de servicio de cuidado personal que se aprueban depende de la cantidad de las actividades de vida diaria con las que necesitan ayuda y nivel de ayuda que necesita con cada una de estas actividades. Hablaremos luego más sobre los diferentes niveles de ayuda. Next, please. Primero, hablemos sobre su reunión con el asesor, que es la enfermera. Las evaluaciones se están llevando a cabo nuevamente en personas. Durante el COVID-19 solo se estaban haciendo por teléfono. Hemos encontrado que las evaluaciones pueden ser más precisas si la enfermera puede verlo demostrar sus habilidades y limitaciones en vez de que usted intente describirlas por teléfono. Por esa razón, es genial que las enfermeras de Liberty Healthcare hayan vuelto a hacer evaluaciones en persona. Usted tiene derecho a tener una o dos personas más con usted en la habitación. Estas personas pueden ser familiares o amigos, podría ser un cuidador o un asistente actual de servicios de cuidado personal. Básicamente, pudiera ser cualquier persona que sepa y pueda explicar sus necesidades que pudiera participar en esta evaluación. Es mejor que sea alguien que lo vea a menudo y en diferentes situaciones. Cuando hable con la enfermera, sea claro y honesto sobre sus necesidades y sus limitaciones. Antes de que llegue la enfermera, es buena idea de que haga una lista de sus necesidades. Dígale a la enfermera lo que usted no puede hacer. Incluso si no preguntan, asegúrese de decírselos. Y no retenga ninguna información porque se sienta avergonzada. Si necesita ayuda, esta es su oportunidad de pedirla. Por ejemplo, si necesita ayuda para mantenerse limpio, está bien decirlo. Si tiene problemas para sentarse y levantarse del inodoro o para subirse los pantalones, está bien decirlo. Está bien decirle a la enfermera cualquier cosa con la que usted tenga problemas. Por eso están allí. Next, please. El asesor calificará cada una de las actividades de la vida diaria de acuerdo con la cantidad de asistencia práctica que necesita. Estas son los niveles de asistencia. Totalmente capaz significa que puede hacer la actividad sin que nadie lo supervise o ayude. Necesita señalización o supervisión significa que puede hacer la actividad sin asistencia práctica, pero necesita que alguien lo supervise o lo ayude. Un ejemplo sería que tal vez pueda cepillarse los dientes, pero necesita ayuda para poner la pasta de dientes en el cepillo. La asistencia práctica limitada significa que puede hacer aproximadamente la mitad de la actividad por sí mismo, pero necesita ayuda con la otra mitad. Amplia asistencia práctica significa que puede hacer menos de la mitad de la actividad y necesita que alguien lo ayude con más de la mitad de la actividad. Totalmente dependiente significa que no puede realizar ninguna parte de la actividad y necesita a que alguien lo ayude a hacerla todo. Next, please. Entonces, ¿cómo se califica para los servicios de cuidado personal? Necesita 3 actividades de la vida diaria que requieren asistencia práctica limitada o 2 actividades de la vida diaria con una que requiere amplia asistencia práctica o dependencia total. Es posible que necesite ayuda en las 5 actividades de la vida diaria, pero para calificar debe cumplir con al menos una de estas reglas. Next, please. Además de tener que cumplir con cierto nivel de asistencia, hay un requisito de arreglo de vivienda para los servicios de cuidado personal. Solo puede calificar para servicios de cuidado personal si vive en una residencia privada o en un hogar de cuidado para adultos con licencia, que es un centro de vida asistida, o en un hogar de grupo. Un hogar de grupo es un centro de vida con licencia, supervisado y para 2 o más adultos que tienen un diagnóstico de enfermedad mental, una discapacidad del desarrollo o una dependencia del abuso de sustancias. Y el centro es elegible para recibir servicios de cuidado personal. Next, please. Otro requisito es que el hogar debe ser seguro para que el trabajador de servicios de cuidado personal lo visite. Debe estar libre de riesgos para la salud. El Departamento de Salud y Servicios Humanos realizará una inspección. Además, no puede obtener servicios de cuidado personal si tiene un familiar o amigo que esté disponible, dispuesto y capaz de proporcionar estos servicios cuando sean necesarios. Por ejemplo, si alguien que vive con usted está disponible, dispuesto y capaz de ayudarlo con las actividades de la vida diaria, entonces Medicaid esperará que esa persona le brinda la ayuda que usted necesita. Sin embargo, si necesita ayuda durante el día y esa persona trabaja fuera de la casa, entonces ya no está disponible para proporcionar servicios que usted necesita y usted pudiera calificar. Si el miembro de la familia está disponible, dispuesto y capaz de proporcionar servicios durante el fin de semana, cuando no está trabajando, no se le pagará por proporcionar servicios de cuidado personal. Otro ejemplo sería si usted vive con un padre envejecido. Es posible que necesite servicios de cuidado personal para la movilidad y el baño. Si su padre no es físicamente capaz de proporcionar los servicios que necesita, como transferirlo de una cama a una silla o ayudarlo a bañarse, entonces ese padre no puede brindarle asistencia práctica, a pesar de que puede estar dispuesto y disponible. Además, hay algo que debe saber sobre los miembros de la familia. Medicaid no pagará por los servicios de cuidado personal si son proporcionados por alguien que vive con usted o por un miembro de la familia. Un miembro de la familia es un cónyuge, hijo, padre, hermano, hermana, abuelo, nieto o familia política. Next, please. Hablemos de los requisitos médicos para los servicios de cuidado personal. Como ya se mencionó anteriormente, los servicios de cuidado personal son proporcionados por un asistente en su hogar durante 1 o más días a la semana para ayudarlo con las necesidades básicas debido a su discapacidad. Su discapacidad debe ser una condición médica documentada o deterioro cognitivo, o sea, mental. Debe estar bajo el cuidado de un médico para la condición que crea sus limitaciones. Y usted no requiere un nivel más alto de cuidado de parte de una enfermera licenciada u otro profesional de la salud. Recuerde, los servicios de cuidado personal son proporcionados por un asistente, no por una enfermera, enfermera práctica, asistente médico o médico. Estos son servicios para habilidades básicas y no para tratar condiciones médicas. Además, su proveedor médico debe presentar una solicitud de aprobación previa y los registros de salud que respaldan esa solicitud. Next, please. Si es aprobado, recibirá un número determinado de horas para servicios de cuidado personal por mes. El número de horas se basa en el número de las actividades de la vida diaria con las que necesite ayuda, así como el nivel de asistencia. El número máximo de horas es de 80 horas por mes para un adulto o 60 para un niño. Sin embargo, ciertos diagnósticos como el Alzheimer pueden calificar para horas adicionales. Si usted es aprobado, recibirá una carta por correo indicando el número de horas por mes. Usted puede elegir la agencia que proporcionará los servicios de cuidado personal. Esa agencia se comunicará con usted para establecer un plan de cuidado que incluye el horario de cuándo vendrá el asistente, las horas por día, las tareas y asegurarse de que se satisfagan sus necesidades. Next, please. Cada año, Liberty Healthcare lo evaluará para ver si aún califica. Liberty Healthcare se comunicará con usted al menos 30 días antes del final de su periodo anual de aprobación. Si ya no califica, entonces sus servicios de cuidado personal terminarán. O si usted no puede ser contactado, rechaza la evaluación, no asiste a la evaluación, Medicaid entonces terminará sus servicios de cuidado personal. Next, please. Si sus servicios se terminan o sus horas se reducen después de su reevaluación, recibirá un aviso de terminación o reducción de servicios. Si usted cree que la decisión es incorrecta, puede presentar una apelación dentro de los 30 días posteriores a la fecha en el aviso. Se programará una mediación que le permitirá a usted y a Medicaid, o sea, Medicaid directo, y el plan de salud prepagado, o sea, atención administrada de Medicaid, hablar de su situación y posiblemente llegar a un acuerdo. Si no se llega a un acuerdo, usted puede solicitar una audiencia para ir ante un juez de derecho administrativo. Este proceso es el mismo que cuando se le niega cualquier otro servicio de Medicaid. Aviso, apelación, mediación, audiencia. Y si apela dentro de los 30 días, sus servicios de cuidado personal continuarán hasta que se tome una decisión final. Next, please. Si tiene preguntas generales sobre Medicaid, puede llamar al Ombudsman de Medicaid de Carolina del Norte al 1-877-201-3750 para preguntas generales. Si tiene un problema legal, puede llamar a Legal Aid of North Carolina al 1-866-219-5262 para ver si califica financieramente para asistencia legal gratuita y así recibir asesoramiento legal o posible representación dependiendo de los datos de su caso. Next, please. Un resumen de lo que hemos considerado hoy es lo siguiente. Los servicios de cuidado personal son proporcionados en su hogar y no en el hospital. Son para asistencia con las actividades de la vida diaria que usted no puede hacer por sí mismo. Las categorías de actividades de la vida diaria son bañarse, vestirse, movilidad, ir al baño y comer. Para calificar, necesita cierto número de actividades de la vida diaria y cierto nivel de asistencia. No puede vivir con alguien que esté dispuesto, disponible y capaz de hacer estos servicios por usted cuando los necesite. Medicaid no pagará a los miembros de la familia o compañeros de cuarto para proporcionar servicios de cuidado personal. Tendrá una evaluación. Usted puede apelar si se le niega. Y lo más importante, por favor, no se avergüence de que necesite ayuda en cualquier área. Next, please. Esto concluye nuestra presentación sobre la transformación de Medicaid y los servicios de cuidado personal. Nuestras próximas clínicas serán el lunes 22 de agosto y lunes 26 de septiembre. Nuestras clínicas de Medicaid son el cuarto lunes de cada mes a las 2:30. Si tiene preguntas sobre lo que hemos hablado hoy, por favor, siéntase libre de llamar al Ombudsman de Medicaid de Carolina del Norte al 1-877-201-3750. Muchas gracias por asistir.
Thank you, Maggie. That was great.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions in English or in Spanish? Okay, well, hopefully we will see you next month, August 22nd at 2:30. And thank you again for joining us. Have a wonderful afternoon. Take care. Bye.
Adiós. Hasta la próxima.
Thank you. Have a good evening, everyone.